This video is for all you spunky sea creatures out there. A new Splatoon 2 update is coming today, Thursday, September 7th at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9 p.m. Eastern time, and they think it'll last about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes to complete this update to get your game up to version 1.3.0. Now, I'm going to go through the main points of this. I'm not going to read every detail verbatim, but I will put the text up on the screen that has been translated from the Japanese website. I'll also put a link in the description down below to this Reddit thread where Frozen Panda Man on Reddit has translated the Japanese details into English for us. So send all of your squid cookies to Frozen Panda Man via Reddit. Thank you so much, Frozen Panda Man. And let's get into it. So starting with the special weapons, the Stingray. After shooting the ink continuously for 1.5 seconds, shockwaves are generated and the damage dealing beam size is greatly increased. Also, the default duration is extended by half a second. The splashdown shortened the amount of time spent in the air at the peak of the jump by 1/6 of a second. Also increased the jump height by 31%. Changed the minimum explosion damage from 40 to 55. And it will reduce special charge points of some weapons that come with the splashdown. So a little bit of a boost for the splashdown there. The Ink Storm is expanded the radius by only 13%, and it will reduce the special points needed to charge on most of the main weapons. The Baller, the knockback will be decreased. Increase default endurance / stamina by 33%. Increase explosion radius 17% more damage, and it's 7% more ink. Change the minimum explosion damage from 30 to 55, so nice little damage boost for the Baller there. Increases the knockback effect against opponents on explosion. The Inkjet, it will be increase the hitbox of player versus enemy bullets for shooter weapons. It will be easier to shoot down. Decrease explosion radius at point of impact, 17% for damage, 20 for inking. And it decreases the damage dealt by exhaust, the spray from underneath the inkjet, by 75%. That's a big chunk out of that. Ink armor will be decreased the invincibility at the time when the armor is broken by 8/60ths of a second. That is a very interesting number. Also, when receiving more than 100 damage at once, and any excess damage will knock the ink armor user back. Upper limit is capped at 80 hit points. Moving on to some of the performance changes for sub-weapons. For the Sprinkler, the ink is released in 3 stages. Increase the middle stage in duration by 5 seconds. Then also the ink consumption is decreased from 80% to only 70% of your ink taint. So a little bit of a bringing it down a little bit there. The point sensor, the radius will be expanded by 20%. And it will reduce the amount of time it takes to start recovering ink after throwing it by 15/60th of a second. Where do they come up with these fractions of seconds? It's very interesting. I want to meet the Splatoon 2 mathematician who was doing all this research and coming up with these tiny fractions of seconds. Moving on, the Splash Wall shorten the time between throwing and deployment by half a second, so pop open much quicker. Well, by half a second again with the fractions of seconds here, but that can make all the difference between getting inked and not. The Squid Beacon, ink consumption decreased from 90% to only 75% of a full ink tank. Then there is one performance change of the main weapons, and that is the Tri-Slosher. The maximum damage dealt decreased from 62 to 52, and the range shortened by 9%. So they're nerfing the Tri-Slosher a little bit there. Moving on to some of the special charge point requirements for some of the weapons. I'm just going to quickly go through these again. The chart's up on the screen, and you can check the link down below. The .96 gal is from 210 to 200. NZAP 85 from 200 to 190. E-liter 4K, E-liter 4K scope from 190 to 170. Splashomatic, Aerospray RG, Splattershot Pro, Blaster, Hero Blaster Replica, L3, Nozzle Nose, Splat Roller, and Hero Roller Replica all are taken from 180 to 170. The Carbon Roller and the Goo Tuber 180 to 160. The Ink Brush Brella Hero Brella Replica 170 to 160. Splat Charger, Splatter Scope, Hero Charger Replica 180 to 190. Rapid Blaster 180 to 210, and Tech Splatter Shot from 210 to 230. Some of them are brought down and some of them are bumped up a little bit. There's also some various kind of general battle fixes. The auto special gauge charge is dependent on mode and rule set, but it's now based on points per weapon basis rather than just a consistent amount over time. There's also some bug fixes that you can read here about hitboxes for different things and some different interactions between weapons and opponents, things like that. So check out the link in the description down below or pause this to find out all the details there. There's also some updates to Salmon Run. I'm not going to go through all these, but some of the main ones, the Stingray and Splashdown will have the same changes as in the battle modes. Things like Steelhead bombs won't get stuck on friendlies. In Lost Outpost, there was a problem with Steelheads not attacking in certain places. That'll be fixed. Also some things about issues trying to pick up golden eggs near the end of a wave. Things about different icons getting stuck or weapons equipped if you disconnect from a match. Things like that. Again, check out the link in the description down below to read all the details, or pause this video now. And then some changes to Splatfest about the number of points required to level up your Splatfest T slots. So slot 1 will go from 4,000 to 7,500. Slot 2, 8,000 down to 7,500. Slot 3, 12,000 to 7,500. And the total from 24,000 to 22,500. Also fixed the issue where players appearing in the plaza after Splatfest battles showed having no shirt slots unlocked. So a little bit of an update for your Splatfest T slots. And the last thing is just a couple kind of user interface menu type updates, changes, like when you're talking to merch, you can now see your money and Super C Snail count in the corner of the screen. Also some things about different displays in terms of your ranked meter and Splatfest T again, and damage issue with the baller in the testing area. And that's all of it. Again, check out the link in the description down below if you want all the details and to see what people are saying about this. So again, this update is happening today, Thursday, September 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. They also mentioned on the Splatoon Twitter page, if you translate it to English, that this update is focusing more on sub-weapons and special weapon updates with minor main weapon adjustments. And then the next update is scheduled for mid-October and will be focusing more on the main weapon performance things and kind of adjusting those more so, because there was only one main weapon adjustment in this update, but there should be more in the mid-October version of Splatoon 2. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little update and were well informed about it. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this update, what you're excited for, what you think is unfair, and make sure you just keep on inking each other up, splatting the whole battlefield with your favorite color of ink. Mine is probably like the teal, I think, or like aquamarine or whatever you want to call it. But until the next Splatoon 2 update, Switch Force out.